The director mocked the maintenance supervisor at every meeting, but when he came to the meeting with his daughter in a wheelchair, the boss couldn't hold back his tears. Vito Hernandez rushed out onto the street and quickly headed towards his home. He was so tired of the director's mockery. Not a single meeting went by without the director pointing out that his shirt was wrinkled or that he was always lost in thought, running somewhere without paying attention to the path. As if there was nothing else to talk about at these meetings. Why even hold them if the director was only there to poke fun at the janitor? Vito had been working at the orphanage almost since its founding. It was just over 5 years ago that he lost his wife Alicia and nearly lost his only daughter, Christina. Vito turned towards the bar where he usually had a couple of beers on Fridays. Today was Friday, and his mood was terrible. He definitely needed a drink. The bar was crowded. Apparently, Vito Hernandez wasn't the only one who wanted to relax after a hard week. Vito approached the counter. That day, Roberta was working. She was a friend of his wife and Christina's godmother. "You don't seem to be in a good mood today, Vito," she said as she poured a frothy drink into a large glass mug. "There was a meeting," Vito grumbled. The director was nitpicking over nothing again, as if there was nothing else to talk about. "Forget about him. You've got enough on your plate." Roberta slid the full mug over to him. "Yeah, I've got plenty to worry about. Christina has been prescribed massages, so I need to save up some money. It's been a while since I dropped by to see you," Roberta sighed. "By the way, give this bracelet to your goddaughter. I found it in my jewelry box. I used to wear it when I was a girl. I loved it so much." Roberta pulled out a silver bracelet with 3 cubic zirconia stones from her pocket. "Thanks, Roby." Vito slipped the trinket into his breast pocket. "How's Chris?" "She's fine. She's gotten into making pictures out of clay. We're buying tons of soft clay now." Vito smiled sadly. "She's so lonely, my girl. You can tell she really misses having real, live interaction, not just online." "Yeah, I understand. I'll drop by in a few days to see how my goddaughter is doing. Want another beer?" "No, thanks, that's enough for today." Vito handed her some money. "It's on me," Roberta said softly, pushing his hand away. "Thanks, Roby. Come over sometime for dinner or we can have a barbecue. Christina would be happy." "I'll definitely drop by, Vito. Say hello to my goddaughter for me." "Hi, Dad," his daughter called from the kitchen as she heard the front door open. "Hi, my dear," he replied, kicking off his shoes and quickly heading to the kitchen. "What are you doing?" "I decided to make a vegetable salad for you. It's almost ready. Just need to clean and cut the pepper." "How lucky I am to have you, sweetheart," her father smiled. "Yeah, lucky you are. Hardly anyone would be happy to have a crippled daughter." Christina sniffed and started peeling a large yellow pepper. "Chris, please don't say that. I'll do everything to make sure you walk again. The doctor says." "Dad, stop. I know what the doctor says. I'm not a little kid anymore," Christina interrupted. "The doctors themselves don't know if recovery is possible in my case or not. Better to prepare for the fact that I'll have to spend my life in this damn chair." Christina hit the armrest with her fist. "Chris, don't get upset and don't take it out on the chair," her father sighed. "We still need to save up for a new one. Once we get another one, you can smash this one to pieces." He winked at his daughter and went to his room to change. Christina remembered that day in vivid detail. There was a fairy tale competition at her school. Each participant had to read their own fairy tale, and then the jury would award prizes to 3 of them. Her mom had promised to come on time and cheer her on in the audience. But she didn't show up. There was no time to find out why. Christina had no mood to read her story, which she had worked on for almost a month, lovingly creating the illustrations. Despite her despondency, Christina won first place. But the 11-year-old girl didn't care. Her mom hadn't come, hadn't found the time to support her, to share in her success. Later, she found out that her mom had died in a car accident that day. She wasn't driving her own car. A man she didn't know was at the wheel. Everyone assumed he was just another client. Alicia was a realtor, and she often showed properties, sometimes driving her clients' cars. A few days after her mother's funeral, Christina picked up her mom's phone, which had been returned to them from the morgue after identification. There was a strange conversation with some man, definitely not work-related. On the day she died, her mom had been communicating with him. They had arranged to meet in the morning and had sent each other hearts and kissy face emojis. Christina was a smart girl. She understood that her mom had been cheating on her dad. The conversation even mentioned her mother's plans to get a divorce. The man was practically demanding that she divorce and marry him. Christina's world collapsed. There was no happy family. Her mom didn't love her dad, she was cheating on him with another man. On that day, she had been with him, in his car. Christina didn't say anything to her father but continued to study her mother's phone, finding more and more evidence that her mom had been planning to leave Vito and abandon her with him. One day, as she was walking home from school, buried in her mother's smartphone, Christina stumbled upon a video. "I'm tired of living with a boring husband," Alicia said with a smile. "I want new experiences. I need someone who can jump out of a plane just for fun." "That's exactly who I am, baby," a man's voice said as he filmed her. "That's who I want to." Christina didn't hear the rest, she only heard the screech of brakes and felt a powerful impact. Pain shot through her entire body. And then came darkness and silence. That's how an 11-year-old girl became disabled. The doctors had to fight for her life. The impact had been severe, as Christina had flown out into the road, completely unaware of her surroundings. Vito, who hadn't yet recovered from his wife's death, was struck by another blow from fate. Now, he had to devote all his energy to making sure his daughter survived. He had to buy expensive medications and take the girl to a rehabilitation center. The real blow for the father was that, according to the doctors, his daughter was unlikely to ever walk again. At dinner, Christina said, "Dad, we haven't gone for a walk together in a long time. Remember we used to walk down my favorite alley?" "Yes, Chris, you're right, my girl. We should go. How about tomorrow?" "Really? I'd love that. Can we feed the birds? Do you still have any seeds left? They need unsalted ones. I've got some left, you can feed the birds. God will reward you for your kindness, sweetheart, He will." "What's so special about feeding the birds?" "It's just a little thing. You know, Christina, our whole life is made up of little things, all sorts of trifles, and in the end, it makes up the entire history of humanity." "Dad, did you have more than your usual 2 mugs of beer today?" Christina giggled softly. "You seem to be in a philosophical mood, I see." At 15, Christina Hernandez was wise beyond her years. She read a lot, watched educational films, and always found creative activities to keep herself busy: embroidery, modeling, weaving with paper vines, and she had recently discovered clay pictures. She could spend hours on her latest project. The results were beautiful. It was around 9 in the morning when the father and daughter went for a walk. They had just left the house when Vito's phone suddenly rang. For some reason, it was the director calling. "Yes, I'm listening," Vito answered. "Vito, what the hell are you causing me problems on a Saturday morning for? Hurry to work and bring the key to your storage room. I told you at the meeting yesterday that the radiators were going to be inspected. There's no spare key for your room. Bring it right away." "I understand, Senor Jimenez. I'm on my way." Vito ended the call, put his phone in his pocket, felt the key to the storage room in his other pocket, and turned his daughter's stroller around. "What happened, Dad?" Christina asked, slightly worried. Why was he yelling like an eagle was pecking at his liver, like with Prometheus? "The key, sweetheart. I forgot to leave my storage room key yesterday. And today, the guys came to check the radiators. Andres Jimenez lives to nitpick at me. I'm used to it by now. You do your job well, the kids at the orphanage adore you. What more does he want? Just to be spiteful? I don't know, Chris. Maybe he doesn't know himself. Anyway, we'll hand over the key and continue our walk. Are you feeling okay? Yes, but sometimes it feels like this stroller is about to fall apart, the girl chuckled. Yes, sweetheart. I'm sorry. Dad, what do you have to apologize for? Don't worry, this old thing will serve me a bit longer. I'll try to earn some money. We'll buy another one. Christina, that's not your concern. I'll take care of the stroller. Don't worry, we'll figure something out. But what could the maintenance man of a small orphanage in a small town figure out? What? Andres Jimenez was standing on the porch, talking to a worker. So you showed up, Hernandez, he said to Vito as he approached, speaking to him as if he were one of the orphans. Here's the key, Vito said, trying to speak calmly. The director suddenly stared at Christina. He had never seen her before. Who's this? He asked, taking the key from Vito and handing it to the worker, who immediately disappeared behind the orphanage door. This is Christina, my daughter, Vito replied curtly, moving toward the girl to turn her stroller around. Your daughter can't walk? How long has it been like this? Since she was 11, after she was hit by a car. I'm sorry, I didn't know. The director's voice trembled, and tears glistened in his eyes. Tears in the eyes of this stern man, this man of stone? Impossible. See you on Monday, Senor Jimenez, Vito mumbled as he walked toward Christina's favorite alley. That evening, Roberta dropped by with some homemade treats. It turned into a feast, and Vito even opened a bottle of wine. Dad, I want some wine too. Just a little, Christina said quietly. Vito raised his eyebrows. Just a tiny bit, his daughter smiled. Vito, dear, don't be a grump, Roberta chimed in. Let Chris try the wine. It's very light. Okay, but it's good for her, really. Red wine is good for the blood, and this one is actually quite decent. After dinner, they played a word game. Christina loved this game and often beat her father. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Are you expecting someone? Roberta asked. No, Vito shrugged and went to open the door. It was a courier. I didn't order anything. This must be a mistake, Vito said, confused. No, the address is correct. The order is from Senor Jimenez. It's for Christina. That's what I was told to say. It turned out to be a brand new wheelchair. It was so advanced, adjustable for height, and the backrest, what a marvel, it was orthopedic. Dad, why did he do this? You said the director doesn't like you, that he's always looking for a reason to criticize or laugh at you. Why would he send us a new wheelchair? I have no idea. We should probably return it. Vito looked at the technical marvel with confusion. Why? Maybe he finally realized he was behaving like an idiot. We should be grateful and accept gifts from fate. God works through other people's hands. Come on, sweetheart, give this thing a try. Roberta helped her goddaughter into the new chair. Wow! It feels like a cloud. Christina exclaimed. It's like I'm floating. My back feels so comfortable. She rolled around the living room. It's awesome. I don't like this, Vito whispered to Roberta. Something feels off. You said you saw tears in the boss's eyes. Maybe our Chris moved him, that's all. Let him do a good deed. Fine, I'll write him a thank you note. But I'll also tell him not to send any more gifts like this. No, I'll tell him I'll pay it all back eventually, down to the last cent. Yes, that's what I'll do. You're such a grump, Vito Hernandez, Roberta chuckled softly. All right, my darlings, it's time for me to go. Chris, sweetheart, be good. Don't drive too fast, she winked at her goddaughter. Okay, Roby, I won't go too fast, Christina smiled back. She looked so happy, as if she'd been told she'd won €1,000,000. Yes, everyone has their own joys. Andres Jimenez sat in his office. His wife and son had gone to visit relatives and planned to stay until morning. He was on his third cigarette in a row. He couldn't get the image of the caretaker's daughter out of his head. Such a beautiful girl, so bright, but unable to walk. No wonder Vito always seemed preoccupied, forgetting things he was told, always in a daze. Probably all of the man's thoughts were about his daughter. As far as the director knew, Vito Hernandez's wife had passed away a few years ago. But he hadn't heard anything about his daughter. Vito wasn't very talkative, never complained about his fate, just did his job, and did it well. Christina reminded him of the past he had tried so hard to forget, but it kept eating away at him, not letting him sleep, eat, or live peacefully. Mia Gomez had been Andres' classmate. They were both 15. On the same day. Andres' mother used to say they were star twins. She had always liked the cheerful, smart, and very neat Mia. On that day, the two of them decided they would always be together. From that moment, they were nearly inseparable. "Andres, I want to be with you forever," Mia once said as they sat on a bench in the old park. "I do too," he replied carelessly. "What could make you leave me?" the girl suddenly asked seriously. "Mia, what nonsense are you talking about? What could make me?" "Maybe if I went crazy," he laughed and kissed her cheek. "Sometimes I get so scared that something will force us apart," Mia said thoughtfully. "Silly girl. Why would we ever separate? We have our whole lives ahead of us. Many, many years. Many happy years." But one day, something happened that divided their lives, especially Mia Gomez's life, into before and after. It happened in the summer. Mia had climbed into her hideout, a treehouse, and was waiting there for Andres. She was preparing a surprise for him. That evening, she wanted to become his forever, just his. Mia lit candles, thick white and red ones. She wanted to create a romantic atmosphere and meet her beloved fully prepared. She poured some olive oil into a small bowl and added a few drops of various essential oils. She had read that such a mixture was perfect for a first night of love. Paper flags, lanterns, and flowers hung from the ceiling, making the setting even more festive. One wrong move by Mia led to disaster. The candle fell. The treehouse caught fire like a matchstick. The oil only made the flames spread faster. The paper lanterns, flags, and flowers caught fire. Mia rushed to the exit. Oh no! The rope ladder was burning too. The girl had no choice but to jump down. Mia landed right on a pile of stones that her mother hadn't had time to arrange into a rock garden. A few days later, the doctors confirmed paralysis of the lower limbs. The injury was too severe. The doctors said there was little to hope for. Mia fell into depression. Summer was just beginning. There could have been so many romantic moments ahead with Andres, but now she was confined to this wheelchair, which would likely be her constant companion for the rest of her days. Andres came as soon as he heard that Mia had been discharged from the hospital. "Leave, Andres, don't torture me," Mia said quietly, pulling away from his kiss. "What's wrong with you?" Andres asked, taking her hand. "I love you and want to be with you. We can't be together. I'm a cripple now, and your life goes on." "Has your life ended?" "Yes, Andres, my life is over. There won't be anything anymore. No dancing, no romantic walks, nothing. Mia, but I'm here with you. Together we can overcome everything. We can't overcome this. The doctors said my chances of recovery are 0, do you understand? Will you date a girl in a wheelchair? I can't go to the club with you, I can't swim in the sea. I can't. Mia, I don't care. I love you," the young man said softly. "I love you too. And that's exactly why I don't want to keep you by my side. I'm incomplete now." "Stop it. Incomplete, incomplete. It's as if you're saying you don't have a head." Mia smiled. For the first time in weeks, she smiled. "You know, I so wanted to have a romantic evening back then, in the treehouse. But this is what happened instead. Mia, everything will be okay. I'll do everything to make you happy. Time passed. Mia Gomez completely withdrew from her class, from school life. She studied remotely, although she was offered to attend classes with her classmates, but she didn't want anyone's pity. She shut herself off, letting only Andres into her lonely life. But he started coming less frequently, citing school and extracurricular activities, and then even less often. And one day, Mia learned that Andres often walked a new girl from their class home. Sometimes she called her friends, whom she considered to be her former ones. They were the ones who told her about it. Andres started coming less and less, calling rarely, almost not texting at all. Mia realized that all his words about eternal love had evaporated like smoke. That's when she did the most terrible thing in her life. On a Friday evening, when her parents went to visit friends and Mia stayed home alone, refusing to go with them, she committed that terrible act. She killed herself. She simply cut her veins and placed her hands in a basin of water. Mia didn't leave any note, she just left this world, and that was it. Andres Jimenez fell into a depression. He didn't leave his house for several days, not even able to attend Mia's funeral. The school was in an uproar. Everyone was talking about Mia and her suicide. Discussions began with the students about how life shouldn't be cut short, that a person has no right to do this, that life should be accepted as it is, and that one should strive to make it better. Andres blamed himself for everything that had happened. He had promised Mia he would always be by her side, but instead, he started dating Lorena Munoz. She was cheerful, she had absolutely no problems, and she fell in love with Andres at first sight and told him so directly. The young man couldn't resist. At first, they just talked, but their relationship developed so quickly that Andres didn't even notice when he ended up in bed with Lorena. Mia Gomez was left somewhere far away, in a past life. Andres still sometimes saw her in his dreams. Almost always the same dream. She was sitting in her wheelchair, looking at him without saying a word. He would approach her, and suddenly she would burst into flames and disappear, leaving only her wheelchair behind. Andres usually woke up from such dreams in a cold sweat and couldn't fall asleep until morning. The overwhelming guilt weighed on him even years later. His son Manuel had already turned 16, the same age he was when Mia Gomez left this world, but her image was still fresh in his memory. He would have loved to forget all these terrible events, but unfortunately, he couldn't. "This is a sign, it's definitely a sign," Andres mumbled, sitting at his desk. "I must help this girl, Cristina, Vito Hernandez's daughter, in memory of her, my first love, Mia Gomez, the girl with light brown eyes and a gentle smile." "Why so gloomy?" asked his wife when she and their son returned home. It took Teofila just 1 second to understand that something was wrong with her husband. "Everything's fine, dear," Andres replied. "All right, tell me when you're ready." "I won't pry," she said calmly, starting to change into her home clothes. "You know, our janitor's daughter is confined to a wheelchair," Andres said slowly. "Really? I had no idea. I told you there must be a reason for his absent-mindedness, and you scolded him and even mocked the poor guy." "I didn't mock him, Teo, I didn't. It's just that Vito is always daydreaming, thinking about something. He has plenty to think about. Imagine how much trouble it must be to care for a disabled daughter. He's a widower, if I remember correctly?" "Yes, his wife died a few years ago, about a year or less before he started working at our shelter." "How old is the girl?" "About 15, I think." "Let's help them," Teofila suggested, her eyes lighting up. Helping those in need brought her genuine joy. "You know, I ordered a wheelchair for her and sent it with a courier." "You're wonderful, my dear," his wife said, kissing Andres on the top of his head. "Vito wrote that he's very grateful, but he'll repay every penny. But I don't want to take his money." "And you're right. I'd like to give her something too." "What does she like?" How should I know, Teo? Andre said, visibly relaxing and cheering up. I think the girl likes to read. I'll give her a book. Are you sure your reading tastes will match? Oh, how clueless you are. Why would I give a paper book in the age of electronics? Of course, I'm talking about an e-book. I'll order her something suitable today. Teofila joyfully darted out of the room. The next day, after returning from school, Manuel found his mother on the porch of their house. Next to her was a box tied with a ribbon. Hi, Mom. He put his bike in its usual spot to the left of the flower bed with tiny flowers. Teofila adored them. Hi, my joy. I have a favor to ask you, son. What is it, Mom? You need to go to an address, it's nearby, and deliver a gift to a girl from me. She's confined to a wheelchair. Mom, why not send it with a courier? Manuel frowned. I'm sure you'll do it better than any courier. You see, a courier is kind of soulless. Then why don't you deliver the gift yourself? Because I'm heading out for some errands now, that's why. Please, do this for me, okay? Manuel realized it was pointless to argue with his mother, easier to fulfill her request. I'll just go inside to change, he said, slipping into the house. Manuel felt uneasy. Who was this girl? Why couldn't she walk? What if she was strange or terribly frightening? These thoughts occupied the boy as he made his way to the house of his father's subordinate. Why had he even agreed to deliver this gift? He didn't even know what the gift was. Manuel parked his bike and, taking a deep breath, rang the doorbell. No one answered. He exhaled, maybe no one was home, and he could leave. But then the lock clicked, and the door opened slightly. A thin girl, sitting in a wheelchair, looked at him with her big gray-green eyes. Her mouth was slightly open, but she didn't utter a word. Hi, Manuel greeted. My mom asked me to bring you a gift. Hi. Who is your mom? And why does she want to give me a gift? Christina looked puzzled. Teofila Jimenez. She just asked me to give this to you, he said, quickly pulling the box out of his backpack and handing it to Christina. Jimenez, the girl repeated. The wife of the orphanage director? Manuel nodded. But I can't accept a gift from her. Your father already gave me a very expensive present, this wheelchair. She patted the armrest. Come in, she said, letting Manuel into the house. All right, he muttered and stepped inside. The house was small but cozy, everything radiated cleanliness. A painting hung on the wall in the hallway. Manuel couldn't take his eyes off it. It felt like he was looking through a window, seeing a path stretching into the distance, with trees on either side and a lantern. Everything seemed so realistic. It's beautiful, he finally said, almost lifelike. It's made of plasticine, Christina responded cheerfully. I made it myself about 2 months ago. What's your name? Manuel. You made it yourself? Out of plasticine? Yes. My dad is soon going to bite my head off because I'm ready to buy plasticine by the ton. He jokes that soon we'll be buying plasticine instead of food, and we'll live off the energy from my paintings. Christina giggled softly, her eyes lighting up. Manuel looked at her, unable to look away. You're Christina? He asked. Yes. Do you want to see more of my paintings? There in the living room, the girl deftly maneuvered her wheelchair towards the living room. Wow! Manuel exclaimed, placing the box he had brought on the coffee table. This sunset is amazing. Do you only paint nature? For now, yes, but I really want to learn how to do portraits of people and animals. That's awesome. Well, I should go. Your gift is over there, Manuel gestured towards the coffee table. What is it? Christina asked with interest. No idea. Do you want to open it together? Yes, Christina smiled. Manuel sat down in a chair and began unwrapping the box. Oh, it's a book, he said, handing her another smaller box. Wow! It's my dream. An e-reader. With a touch screen. It's wonderful. Manuel, please thank your mom for me, but I can't accept this. My father will be angry. He doesn't like to owe anyone anything. He's already planning to pay back every cent for the wheelchair. Don't worry about it. My mom, she loves giving gifts, especially to those, he trailed off. To those who are disabled, right? Christina's eyes flashed. No, to those who, in her opinion, deserve it, the boy said, embarrassed. And how did I deserve such a valuable gift? I don't know. If you want, you can ask her yourself. She didn't tell me any details, just asked me to give you the gift. My mom, you see, loves helping people. All kinds of people, orphans, her friends, and acquaintances. She says her heart blooms whenever she helps someone. Sorry for being rude, Christina lowered her head. Please thank your mom. And can I give her this sunset in return? Does your mom like paintings? My mom loves anything beautiful, Manuel smiled. You must have put so much effort into it. Yes, it's painstaking work. But I'll be happy if this painting brings someone joy and decorates someone's wall. We just need to wrap it in something. The girl glanced around the living room. Got it. We'll wrap it in a towel. Christina wheeled over to a cabinet and opened it. It's too high. Manuel, can you help me? Can you grab that gray towel? It's the right size. Sure, the boy grabbed the towel she indicated. For some reason, he suddenly felt like he didn't want to leave. He even started thinking about how he could stay a little longer. Why don't you come visit me again? Christina said softly as she wrapped the painting in the towel and handed it to Manuel. We could watch a movie together or just chat. What kind of movies do you like? Manuel perked up. All kinds. Mostly thrillers, especially psychological ones. And I love detective stories, especially the complicated ones with lots of mysteries. Me too, Manuel exhaled. I'll come back tomorrow. Is that okay? Of course. I usually finish my schoolwork by noon, so I'm free after that. Come whenever you can. Well, I have soccer at 2 tomorrow. I could be here by 4. Will your father mind? He'll be glad that I'm socializing with someone. Since I started using this wheelchair, my friends have all but disappeared, Christina smiled sadly. Well, they're fools. That means they weren't really your friends. You're interesting to be around. Really? You think I'm interesting? I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. I can't stand lying. Neither can I, Christina suddenly thought of her mother and her betrayal. From that very day, Manuel had been eagerly waiting to see Christina again. He couldn't quite explain to himself why he was so drawn to this girl in a wheelchair. But with each passing day, it became increasingly clear to him that they had so much in common. They were practically on the same wavelength. They liked the same kinds of books, movies, and music. They were never bored with each other. There was never an awkward silence, and there were no uncomfortable moments. Manuel felt like he could talk to this girl with the sparkling eyes about anything, even the most intimate things. Christina, you are so, Manuel began one day as they sat on the lawn in front of her house, so beautiful. Oh, stop it. What's so special about me? Just an ordinary girl. Although, not an ordinary girl, I'm disabled, sadness filled her eyes, like water filling the cup of a flower. Chris, I don't care that you can't walk for now, he said, looking into her sorrowful eyes. For now? Are you kidding? I'll never walk again, do you understand? You'd better stop coming here, she averted her gaze. Why? Did I say something wrong? Did I hurt you? I didn't mean to, honestly. Chris, Manuel suddenly leaned in close and kissed her right on the lips. What are you doing? Christina looked at him, frightened and confused, but there was an incredible sparkle in her eyes. Manuel had never seen such a sparkle in them before. I just kissed my girlfriend. Will you be my girlfriend, Chris? Your girlfriend? How will you introduce your girlfriend to your friends? Or will you just secretly date her? Why secretly? Do you think I don't want to show you off to them? Although, that's true. I don't want to show you off to them. They might steal you away. Manuel laughed and kissed Christina again. Manuel, there are plenty of healthy girls around you. You'll get tired of being with me. I always need someone's help. I can't go to a club or just take a walk in the park. Chris, understand, I'm happy with you. Those things are so trivial. And I don't even like those nightclubs. But we can take a walk in the park together. Do you want to go right now? In his eyes, Christina read such sincerity and incredible warmth that goosebumps ran all over her body. For a moment, she even thought she could move the tips of her toes. She had never felt that before. I don't want to go to the park. Better kiss me again. She closed her eyes, offering him her face. Manuel entered the house. His parents had already had dinner and were talking in the living room. Where have you been, son? His father asked. Has our boy fallen in love? Maybe, Manuel muttered. And who's the girl? Teofila looked at her son with interest. Well, Cristina Hernandez, Manuel said reluctantly. What? Vito's daughter? Our janitor? Yes, Dad, it's her. Are you out of your mind? She's a cripple. Andres. Teofila placed her hand on her husband's arm. Don't call her that. I'll do everything I can to help Chris walk again. And if that never happens, I'll love her just the way she is. Son, there are plenty of girls out there. They're healthy. I understand Christina is a nice, bright girl, but I don't want to date the flirts from my circle. They don't care about me. They're not interested in me. They just want to date the son of the orphanage director, a respected member of our community, and all that. Christina is different. She doesn't care whose son I am. She just loves me. It's too early to talk about love at 16, son. It's the perfect time, Teofila said dreamily, looking up at the ceiling. Some people might abandon their love just because they're afraid the person isn't in their social circle or has some kind of defect, but that often doesn't end well. These words struck a painful chord in Andres Jimenez's heart. It was as if his son was repeating his fate, but unlike him, Manuel was determined. He didn't care that Cristina was confined to a wheelchair, didn't care about the girls who fawned over him. But years ago, Andres did care about that new girl who had thrown herself at him so openly at his friend Sebastian's party. His wife was right, he still regretted what happened with Mia Gomez. Because of him, she took her own life, and he, in the end, never truly found happiness. He loved Teofila, but it was never quite the same, just a pale imitation of the feelings that had filled his entire being when he was with that young beauty with the captivating eyes, just holding her hand. Andres often wondered, what if he hadn't turned her down all those years ago? He had no answer to that question. But most likely, if by some magic he could go back to the time when his girl, confined to a wheelchair, was alive and trustingly catching his gaze, he would have held her in his arms and never let her go. He loved her, truly loved her with all his heart, but he betrayed her. And that betrayal still gnawed at him from the inside, like a worm gnaws at a tree. Andres, he heard, as if from afar, slowly emerging from his thoughts. What are you thinking about? Teofila was looking straight into his eyes. Oh, nothing. You're right, it is the perfect time. And you, son, fight for your happiness and for Cristina Hernandez's happiness. We'll help you. Won't we, Teo? Of course, we'll help. Cristina won't just start walking again, she'll be flying. Teofila hugged Manuel. Do you believe it, son? Of course I do, Mom, he said, hugging his mother in return. I'm so glad you believe it too. Thank you for supporting me. Who would have thought we'd end up related to Vito Hernandez? Andres chuckled. He's a good guy, Dad. He always greets me warmly. He even taught me how to replace a faucet. What? Replace a faucet? Wow. He says every man should know how to do basic things around the house. I think he's right. Yes, he's probably right, Andres said somewhat vaguely. Why don't we have a barbecue? Teofila suddenly suggested, jumping up from the couch. Let's do it the day after tomorrow. It'll be Saturday. Saturday, Andres repeated. Why not? Let's do it. Son, will you invite Christina and her father yourself, or should I? Of course, I'll see Chris tomorrow anyway. They were sitting in the kitchen, drinking tea. Manuel, I'm afraid to meet your parents, Christina said quietly. Well, they're not mutants, he smiled cheerfully. What are you afraid of, silly? Well, it's just that your father is my father's boss, and... So what? My dad's a normal guy, Chris. He just gets stressed out sometimes because of problems at work. The orphanage means a lot to him. He treats it like his own child, so sometimes he takes it out on his subordinates. Everything will be fine. Can we bring Roberta too? Christina suddenly asked. Who's Roberta? Is she your father's woman? Then why have I never seen her here? She's not my father's woman, she's my godmother. My mom was very close to her. Of course you can bring her, Chris. The more, the merrier. Thank you, Manuel, Christina said quietly, taking his hand. For what? Just for coming into my life. You know, I thought I'd never get to experience what love is. But that's not true. Even if you leave me, I'll always remember what it feels like to love. Chris, what are you talking about? Who said I'd leave you, huh? Did you know I'm a one-woman man? No, the girl smiled, and her eyes filled with an otherworldly light. Well, now you do. You'll have to put up with me till we're old and gray. Manuel. I beg you. You're only 16. You talk like a 30-year-old. I'm wise beyond my years, he said, giving her a peck on the nose. In the evening, Christina's father came to see her. He always came by to wish his daughter good night. Dad, we're going to the Jimenez's barbecue on Saturday, right? I'm not sure, sweetie, if that's a good idea. Of course it is. By the way, I invited Roberta, and she gladly accepted. Roberta? Why? She's my godmother, after all. Besides, you'll have some support. Dad, do you like Roby? That's a strange question. We've been friends for so many years. No, that's not what I mean. Do you like her as a woman? Would you like to live with her? You know, fall asleep and wake up together and all that? Chris, where are these questions coming from? I didn't realize my little girl had grown up, did I? Dad, I think you and Roby make a great couple. Why aren't you together yet? I have a lot of affection for Roby, but I can't. It would be a betrayal of Chica, your mother. Dad, Mom's been gone for a long time. And besides, she betrayed you a long time ago. What are you saying, sweetie? Dad, Mom had a lover. When she got into that terrible accident, he was the one driving. I saw the photos on her phone, the videos, the messages. She wanted to leave me with you and run off with that muscle man. Tears welled up in her eyes. Christina, this sounds unbelievable. Yes, it sounds unbelievable, but it's true. You know, I didn't want to tell you, but now it's time. Back when I got hit by that car, I just didn't react in time because I was watching a video on Mom's phone. She said she was bored with you, but with that muscle man, she had fun. I didn't notice I was walking into the street. Chris, sweetheart, forgive me. Her father took her hand and squeezed it. Dad, there's nothing to forgive. You're the best father on this planet. And I want to see you happy. I really want you and Roby to get married. Will you propose to her at the barbecue? Christina winked at Vito. Chris, I love you so much, my little girl. I also want you to be happy, I really do. Manuel is a good guy. I feel like he can make you truly happy. The nightlight shaped like an ice heart bathed Christina's room in a soft glow. The same soft light enveloped the hearts of the father and daughter who had suffered so much. This light emanated directly from their souls. Such a light can only be emitted by the soul of a person whose heart is filled with true love, love for others, love for the entire universe.